Somewhere beyond the last inhabited lands of Sahara Desert, there is a desert so vast that travelers speak about it like it is alive. Not dangerous in the normal way, not because of heat, not because of thirst, but because people who cross it return different. If they return at all. Daniel had heard the stories from old caravan guides in a small border town. They warned him never to travel alone beyond the marked routes. There are places in the desert where direction stops existing, one old man whispered. Daniel laughed politely. He thought it was superstition. 3 days later, he stopped laughing. The journey began normally. Endless sand stretching beneath a burning sky, wind moving in slow waves across the dunes, silence deeper than anywhere he had ever been. At first, it felt peaceful, beautiful even. But after the second night, things changed. The compass stopped working. Not broken, spinning endlessly. His GPS lost all coordinates, and the tracks behind him disappeared, not covered by wind. Gone. Daniel stood still, staring at the sand. That's impossible. The air felt heavier, the silence sharper, like the desert was listening. He continued walking, hour after hour, dune after dune, until the sun began to set. That's when he saw it. A structure, far away, half buried beneath sand. At first he thought it was ruins, but as he got closer, he realized something strange. The stone looked untouched, not ancient, preserved, as if time moved differently there. A massive doorway stood open in the center of the structure. Darkness beyond it, cold air drifting out into the heat of the desert. Daniel frowned. No one builds here, yet someone had. He stepped closer carefully. Symbols covered the walls around the entrance. Not Arabic, not Egyptian, not any language he recognized. The deeper he looked at them, the stranger they felt. Almost familiar. Then, a voice behind him. You shouldn't go inside. Daniel turned instantly. An old man stood several meters away, wrapped in dark desert clothing. Daniel had no idea where he came from. There's nobody for hundreds of miles, Daniel said. The old man didn't answer. His eyes remained fixed on the doorway. That place was not made for people. Daniel looked back toward the structure. What is it? A long silence followed. Then, a crossing point. The wind suddenly stopped. Completely. No movement. No sound. Even the air felt frozen. Daniel's chest tightened. What crosses? The old man looked at him slowly. Not everyone who enters comes back as themselves. Night fell unnaturally fast across the desert. The stars above looked wrong somehow. Too bright, too still, like painted lights frozen in place. Daniel stood between the old man and the buried structure, unsure what to trust more. The impossible building before him, or the stranger who appeared from nowhere. You've seen this place before? Daniel asked. The old man nodded slowly. Too many times. Then why come back? The old man's expression darkened. I never left. Silence. The desert around them felt endless. Empty. Watching. Daniel looked again toward the doorway. Cold air still drifted from inside, impossible against the heat of the night. What's in there? The old man stepped closer. Distance. That makes no sense. It will. The words echoed strangely, as if the desert itself had repeated them. Daniel hesitated only a moment longer before stepping toward the entrance. The old man didn't try to stop him. He only whispered, If you hear your own voice, don't answer. Daniel entered. The temperature dropped instantly. The tunnel beyond the doorway stretched far deeper underground than the structure should physically allow. Smooth stone walls reflected faint light from symbols carved into the surface. The deeper he walked, the quieter everything became. Even his breathing sounded distant. Then he heard footsteps. Behind him. Slow. Matching his pace. Daniel stopped. The footsteps stopped. He turned. Nothing. Only darkness. His heartbeat quickened. This place is messing with me, he continued forward. The tunnel widened slowly into a massive underground chamber. And in the center, sand. Not still sand. Moving. Floating. Suspended in the air like a storm frozen in time. Daniel stared in disbelief. What is this? Then a voice. His voice. Soft. Close. Daniel. He froze instantly. The warning returned to him. If you hear your own voice, don't answer. The floating sand shifted slightly. Shapes formed inside it. Human shapes. Walking. Repeating movements over and over. Crossing. Always crossing. Daniel stepped backward slowly. Then the voice came again. Closer this time. You already crossed. The floating sandstorm pulsed faintly in the darkness, as if breathing. Daniel backed away slowly, every instinct screaming at him to run. This isn't real. But the chamber responded. The suspended sand shifted violently for a moment, forming clearer shapes. People, dozens of them, walking endlessly through dunes that never changed. Some looked exhausted, others empty, like they no longer understood where they were going. And among them, Daniel saw himself. His breath stopped. The version inside the sand looked older, thinner, lost, still walking. No, the voice returned again, this time from everywhere. You crossed long ago. Daniel shook his head violently. No, I just arrived here. The chamber darkened slightly. Then, memories hit him. Fragments. Walking through endless dunes. Days without sleep. Hearing voices in the wind. Seeing lights that disappeared when approached. And finally, the structure. Not for the first time. For the second, Daniel stumbled backward. You're lying. The voice answered calmly. The desert removes direction. A pause. Then identity. The floating sand began rotating faster. The shapes inside it blurred together. Thousands of travelers. Repeating. Crossing endlessly. What is this place? Daniel whispered. The answer came immediately. A passage. To where? Silence. Then, a place without return. The chamber trembled slightly. The walls shifted. The tunnel behind him grew longer. Far longer than before. Impossible distance stretching into darkness. Daniel turned in panic. No, the voice softened. You can still leave. Relief hit instantly. How? The floating sand slowed. And the version of Daniel trapped inside, it stopped walking. Slowly, it looked up, directly at him, then smiled. You trade places. The chamber fell silent. Daniel's chest tightened. The older version inside the storm stepped closer from within the floating sand. Tired eyes. Broken expression. Waiting. As if he had waited years. No. The tunnel behind Daniel began collapsing into darkness. The desert wind howled somewhere impossibly far away. And deep beneath the endless sands of Sahara Desert, the crossing continued. As it always had. Traveler after traveler. Identity after identity. Endlessly moving through a desert that did not measure distance, but memory.